We arrested them, we fined them, and we don't expect.
But just as a resident of Nairobi, maybe five days in a week, I was just wondering whether the photojournalists are more vigilant than your askaris who were supposed to be spotting this thing before they're spotted by the...
It's not a journalist, it's what you call the power of social media. There's people everywhere with camera phones and they just take the pictures.
But what I meant is that garbage was not just dumped there one morning. It must have been something that was accumulating for a long time.
And that's where the problem is. When you go on, and we've spoken about this Mheshimiwa before and said, you have what we call dumping. That's been a problem in Nairobi, and that's what I was saying, we're sending a message to these people who dump. There are people who take 10 tons of garbage in the middle of the night, go put that whole heap of garbage on Uhuru Highway. Now, if that garbage was to accumulate it over a month, but you wake up in the morning and you find 10 tons of garbage in the middle of the highway, that doesn't mean it's been there for a month. It takes weeks to accumulate that. It's just somebody who's being a bad citizen who goes and dumps. And that's
so
what
as we speak, that ISO is no longer there.
It's no longer there. The problem is solved, and I have pictures to prove.
Okay. Now today I want us to take a look at another photo. Now still on the page, on the dailies, this is a standard page 10. And it's a photo that, of course, has been making rounds on social media, and it has to do with the SGR. And it seems to show that a section of the standard gauge railway project has been washed away by the rains. It's a small area, but of course it is a cause for concern. The quality of the standard gauge railway project was put into question after a section was washed away by floods. Now, if my director could help me and just put up that photo on the screen so that our viewers can see what we're talking about. A section of the SGR's protection slope around Kambu area in Makueni County was washed away by heavy rains that have been pounding parts of Ukambani for the past 5 days. Now, of course, that photo is a bit worrying because it appears to be, the damage appears to be very close to the railway. Now, this is a billion mega project, billion shilling mega project, and of course, let me give you the first chance for you to talk on this panel this morning. What does that make you feel looking at that picture on the screen?
I think because I was here when people were discussing the other issue, I think I would just say something small before I move on to this one.
It's rather unfair.
It is fair, not rather unfair.
briefly,
it's only just.
Because we need to move on.
Yeah, I think we are in agreement that Kenya was offended, and we've been very clear that, and in international law, we say that whatever your response should be, it should be commensurate to what has happened. What Kenyan government did was quite grave in terms of pulling out the soldiers. Really, there is no, and it's very sad that my friends can actually sit here and justify that what we did was the right way. There is no way, there are no words that you can use to explain what we've done. It is, we add in that regard. But as regards the picture, I think for me, I also do not want to comment on it completely because I can only see that particular section. But I think that in itself is a clear indication that we need to understand and do a proper audit. How standard is standard gauge railway? What is the quality? You know, we've actually spent a lot of money. If you look at the projects that this government has run, the projects that we've invested in, I think standard gauge railway consumes nearly the biggest share in terms of allocation. So if we see something like this, yet the standard gauge railway has not even commenced in terms of it being used, and we are seeing pictures like this, I think it's quite worrisome. And for me, this should call for a proper audit in terms of the quality, a proper audit in terms of, I saw somebody saying that, I saw some literature, somebody indicating that the standard gauge railway is actually not is not standard per se. So, and also look at, because I can see serious corruption that has gone in as regards development of the standard gauge railway in terms of people who are doing clearing, people who are supporting in terms of materials, people who are not the actual suppliers but the second tier in terms of suppliers. So there is need for us to audit this thing.
Yes. And Yusuf Hassan, of course, the SGR is one of the flagship projects that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have really been hammering and saying this is one of our biggest projects.
Touting.
This one is, yes, they've been touting it as their main flagship project. Going into an election year, we start seeing this before even the standard gauge railway can start being used.
Well, definitely the SGR is the biggest project of its kind that has been ever done by a government in Kenya, and it's going to be a major communication and transport link between our main port, our capital city, and the East Africa region as well. And I think it is something that needs to be looked at. It's a technical issue. We need engineers and experts to have a look, to review the situation, and to make sure that if there was a problem, it should be adjusted and remedied as quickly as possible. And we must take care of the taxpayers' money. And I think there is a committee in Parliament that deals with this issue, the Transport Committee, that should look at it from our perspective. And it should be investigated and analyzed by experts, and we should be given the right answers as to what has happened.
Yes. Now, of course, this story on the Standard quotes engineer James Karanja, who's part of the team working on that, and is the lead consultant for Kenya Railways. He described the damage as normal in any construction site, adding that work on protection slopes around Kambu area were yet to be completed. But Deputy Governor, of course, this is a cause for worry.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm just imagining if that would have happened when a passenger train carrying thousands of people was passing. It could have been a disaster. So at least we thank God that it happened while it was still under construction. But two things come to mind, just as a normal citizen, and I'm not taking a partisan position on this, Mheshimiwa. As a citizen, I think to wonder. I saw Musalia Mudavadi yesterday naming SGR as one of the corrupt projects that the government has done. We know SGR was started by the Grand Coalition government. The cost was supposed to have been about 200 billion. Then the cost doubled for some reason. We saw Musalia Mudavadi saying that it's one of the corrupt things that this government has done, inflating the cost. And that's kind of the things that corruption does. What I'd like to hear is what Alfred Keter, Mheshimiwa, is going to say about this, because you know Alfred Keter was on record stopping the commencement of SGR, saying that it was a very corrupt deal, that many kickbacks were given, that it will not be built to the quality that it should be built to, because a lot of that money has gone into people's pockets. So I'd be very interested to hear what my friend Keter would say when you begin to see some of the consequences that we think they are. But what I'd want the government to do is what I did last week. A problem was reported on Taita Taveta Road that there was garbage. I promised to take action. We went out, we took very decisive action, we cleaned up the place, and we arrested people and fined them, and we now know that that problem will not recur. So I just hope that the government and the ministry concerned is going to do the same thing. Send engineers, get it checked out, give a full report to Kenyans, do an audit along all of SGR from Mombasa all the way to Naivasha, where it's going to reach, to make sure that that doesn't happen. And
of course, Bwana Mudhomi Njuki, as the Deputy Governor says, our main aim here on this panel sometimes is not just to criticize and say the government is failing, but actually to point out some weakness here and there, as we did in the case of the garbage along Taita Taveta Road, which has now been rectified. And even on this issue of the SGR, I'm sure you're ready to defend the government, and even as you do so, just know that we're just trying to point out a weakness and not really to criticize the government.
Well, even as we cast doubts on the SGR, kindly I'd request you to have the photo brought back to a bigger view so that we can be able to see the railway.
If my director could assist me, get the photo. That's the drainage under the.
Let's zoom.
Yes.
So that we just don't look at the drainage, because you know, human nature sometimes we normally focus on the wrongs on the right. I want to first of all state the position that has been stated by my friend Kamkunji MP, that the SGR is one of the key projects, you know, the flagship projects of the Jubilee government. And this project is not 2 kilometers. It is a whole almost 600 kilometers from Mombasa. And a section of just 10 meters, which I want to tell my friend Mweke that the railway has not been affected. Under the railway has been affected. The drainage system has washed away some of the packaging that had been done to protect the railway. Even if there was a passenger train passing there, most probably nothing would have happened as yet. But I am happy it has happened at this point in time when the contractor is still on site. And we don't want to say that the workmanship in the whole area from Mombasa to Naivasha at the moment has a problem. We are living in a world that is normal. It is possible, even with the highest level of architect. The Chernobyl has been one of the incidences whereby very high engineering has been put in place to ensure that we don't have accidents in nuclear energy, but yes, the accident occurred. So we shouldn't really be castigating the whole of the project because of one incident. However, it is not right to say that the workmanship here has been very good, but it's just one section. And I want to promise Mweke, most likely when we come back here next week, there will be a photo to show that a clean job has been done. And that since this has been in place for the last almost 4 years, so just 3 years. Last year's flood did not affect the place. Last year Badwa didn't affect the place. This time it has happened. This is a wake-up call to the contractors. Even as we move towards the Rift Valley, which is even worse than this area of Kambu, they might have to do a much better job so that we don't have this kind of thing in the future. But let's not bring in the issue of the corruption. We don't bring the issue because buildings are collapsing every day in Nairobi, in Huruma, because of corruption in the county government of Nairobi, because of not having proper supervision and the certificates of compliance to people who are making the buildings. So okay, let's speak in a consistent manner.
Yes, of course, the consultant engineer, Bwana James Karanja, is quoted here saying it is not the SGR that was washed away by rains. What happened was the protection slope of the railway was hit and damaged by storm waters before the drainage system was completed. That is normal in construction sites, so there is no cause for alarm. He says the quality of the SGR can only be assessed when all the construction work is complete and the contractor hands over the project to the government. We hope that is what will happen.
So this is another sensational media.
No, it is something that, you see, we cannot hide a photo like that one. You cannot really say. It's not a simple headline. These are not words.
And by the way, Fred, when I hear Mudomi talking like an expert, like he's the one who presided over, he's even tested the quality from where he is, it baffles me because and I agree with him. He says the project is 600 kilometers. That's just a small stretch. That's the reason more why we need to be worried.
Correct. Because
the rains proper have not started. When the rains, if this is just a little bit of rain and we are seeing the damage that it has caused, then it's a cause for alarm.
Yes.
Because I can tell you for a fact, the El Nino is coming next year in the first quarter. So, and by the way, when we discuss these issues, we are discussing for purposes of ensuring that there is quality. For purposes of ensuring, just hold on, for purposes of ensuring that we protect the Kenyan people. Because if, and you can see, by the way, and the rains have not started proper. And as you're saying, when we move towards the Rift Valley, it's going to be tricky.
Just to let you know where I'm coming from. I have, through the PSC, the Public Investment Committee, we have inspected this railway twice in the last 2 years. And my point was that this particular part of the railway in Kambu was not done this year. In last year during the rains it was still there. Last year but when it was still there. But there seems to be maybe heavier rains, and I'm saying it is a good thing it has happened. But we are saying we cannot cover all the good that has been done and just isolate one particular issue and condemn the whole project because of one particular incident. Because even tsunamis occur and they hit very complicated places.
Yeah. First of all, let me just point out that last year and the year before, this part of the SGR was not there. The SGR just started 3 years ago. We've only been in office about 3.5 years. So I think it's wrong to mislead the public that has happened. And this is why I'm having an issue with this, Fred, about cover-up. You know, let's admit, things go wrong.
But Deputy Governor, let's speak about facts.
Hold on.
I've just said that I was involved in the committee
but that
inspected. It was there
2 years ago.
2 years it was there.
This is not the first in Mombasa. You can't have built it in 5 months to have gotten to that place in Makueni. It's not possible.
My friends,
gentlemen,
the construction of the railway may not be following
what my point
system
is,
where you build from Mombasa and come with Nairobi.
What my point
as we talk right now, part of Mombasa near the harbour, they are the ones that have been completed because they have been building in sections, not from Mombasa following geometric pattern where you say from Mombasa to Nairobi like you're traveling. It's been sections, and this was there.
I think my point is, and this is what we just need to learn from this, in this section, and also the nation to learn from this. Its problems do occur, and mistakes and accidents occur. What we need to do as leaders is to admit that there's a problem, and then come up with steps on how to solve it, like what we have done with the collapsed buildings. We admitted that there was a problem. The people who were negligent, we took action against them, and then you put in processes and systems to ensure that those problems don't happen again. But if you sit here just because you're in government and say it's a media sensation that there's no problem, then that's the beginning of failure.
Yes. And when it comes to photos, this is not Photoshop. This is a real picture taken. And Bwana Yusuf Hassan, we cannot deny a photo. Anyway, moving on now.
I did not deny the photo. What I said, the context, the way it was framed, when you gave us the information about the engineer put it into context, then you understand the picture better. But when you just present a picture by itself, out of the context, then obviously you are sensationalizing an element of it.
Well,
and then the other point here is the fact that we are focused on this particular picture not because of the damage that has happened, because damage do happen. Nature does a lot of damage in the world. In more advanced countries, you have typhoons, you have tsunamis, as we have said. It is because it has been framed in such a way that it points to the fact that the whole idea of the project was suspect.
Yes,
it was because of the corruption allegations. And therefore you're discrediting all the projects in this country because of that, even though we are building a road, we're building railways, we're providing hospitals and services. All of that is being put in the political context of subjectivity.
Of course, they say that a picture speaks 1,000 words.